MWC may have been cancelled, but apparently no one told Huawei. The Chinese tech giant went ahead with a launch event where it unveiled its new foldable Mate XS phone, the MatePad Pro 5G tablet, a smart speaker that's not very smart in the Sound X, and a refresh of its whole laptop line, including my focus today, the MateBook Pro X. So I'm going to keep this pretty brief because there's not a lot that's changed in the Pro X actually. It's very similar this year to how it was last year, but there are two new things, and basically the rest has not changed. So, new thing number one, you may have noticed already, it's green. It's not only available in green, you can still get it in Space Grey or Mystic Silver, which have basically been the two finishes every Huawei laptop has been available in since they started doing them. But you can also now get it in Emerald Green, which is this really nice dark green finish that the company introduced with its Mate phone series. You get the Mate 20s in Emerald Green. And it's lovely. It's a nice bit. Huawei's been talking a lot, this MWC or not MWC, about bringing together its ecosystem of products. And borrowing the green finish from the Mate phones is kind of one of its little gestures towards that. But man, it looks really, really nice. Colored laptops are rare outside of the gaming space. And when you do get them, they tend to be kind of pastel finishes or very sort of bright, garish things that are meant to be very eye-catching and is sort of youth-targeted laptops. So this kind of dark green, kind of mature-looking color is lovely. It looks really, you could still use it in a professional setting. It still looks like it could belong in an office, or it could belong if you're sort of, sitting in a trendy coffee shop. But it's also just a little bit more fun. It's just a bit more interesting. There's so many gray and black laptops out there. And that is just really pretty. I can't get over how nice this green finish looks in real life. For an already slim laptop, it's got a very slim body at 14.6 millimeters. That's unchanged from last year. And it's still the same weight, 1.33 kilograms, with a 14-inch display, I should say. So all of that is the same, and I'll talk a bit more soon about what else is the same. But yeah, it just means this whole package just kind of comes together, and it's not, in a way, not a big change. A new colorway is not always that exciting, but this is such a nice one. I'm really a big fan. The other big change is under the hood, arguably more important. The MateBook Pro X has made the jump to Intel's 10th gen chips. So you can get it up to a Core i7, which means it should be pretty damn fast, I think. As it's an X Pro, you can also get an NVIDIA graphics card built in, the MX250. You obviously get lots of RAM and storage options, all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, this is just a nice big spec bump for the line. Obviously a spec refresh is going to happen every year. It's not always that exciting. It's not a reason to upgrade if you've got last year's model. But it brings Huawei up in line with everyone else. Make sure that the X Pro for 2020 is still competitive specs-wise. And it means it should still be a bit of a beast, especially considering the form factor. One oddity, there isn't an AMD model. AMD models have been all the rage this year in laptops since basically AMD caught up to Intel in terms of its Ryzen mobile chips. And actually, if you look at the newly expanded MateBook D line, there are some Ryzen models in that. But for the sort of flagship Pro X, it is all still Intel. Okay, so those are the two things that are different. But if you haven't used an X Pro before or you don't know much about it, here's everything else that's in it that's pretty great, that's still the same from last year's model and mostly even still the same from the year before. So it's basically the same display. I think it is exactly the same panel as last year. It's a 3000 by 2000 pixel resolution, which is a bit of an odd one. But actually that aspect ratio, the 3:2, is really nice. It's much squarer and more boxy than you might be used to on a laptop. It really singles it out as being designed for productivity. I don't have the MateBook X Pro, but I've got a MateBook 13 at home. And I love it, and I love that aspect ratio. It's a bit taller, you get a bit more vertical space, and that's great for working on. If you're working in a Word document, writing, as I often am, you just get more screen space. Anyone doing programming, that more vertical space I know will be really valuable. A little bit more space for spreadsheets, scrolling, and even just scrolling on web pages, stuff like that. It means it's less good for watching Netflix. If you watch movies, you're going to get more black bars at the top and bottom. But if you want a productivity laptop, I really think you should try one with that 3:2 aspect ratio because it does make a lovely difference. Other than that, it's got the same fingerprint sensor built into the power button, just sitting at the top right of the keyboard. And that's a one-touch one, so with one touch, it will turn on and read your fingerprint sensor. And read your fingerprint, sorry. And the selfie camera is where we are used to seeing it in Huawei laptops, which is where we're not used to seeing it anywhere else. It is recessed inside the keyboard under a special key, and if you just push it down, the camera pops up. I will say this is a great solution for people who don't ever use selfie cameras on laptops, because it clears it away from the screen, gives you much thinner bezels, more edge-to-edge full view kind of experience. But the camera angle is rubbish. I thought maybe they might have improved it, maybe enabling the camera to sort of tilt up at more of an angle or something, or adjust the positioning somehow. But no, it is still going to sort of catch you right underneath your chin, and it really looks pretty horrible. So I like this solution as someone who pretty much never uses Skype or any equivalents on a laptop. If you do a lot, I would look elsewhere because the camera angle is bad. It's okay for occasional use, but if you are going to do a lot of video chat, this is not the laptop for you. And finally, like I said earlier, Huawei's been really pushing this sort of ecosystem angle, trying to catch up to Apple in that space. And that's still true on the X Pro. There's nothing really new here. But again, if you used one before, there's lots of collaboration features with Huawei phones. You kind of need to have a Huawei phone to take advantage. But things like if you put your Huawei phone over the bottom right corner of the laptop, you can immediately drag and drop files. You can actually use the trackpad and the keyboard from the laptop on the phone to type text messages with, or that kind of thing. And you can actually have the phone screen pop up on the laptop screen as a floating window, which is pretty cool. Again, that's not new, but if you happen to own a Huawei phone, it's a nice reason to sort of tempt you over to grabbing a Huawei laptop too, which is exactly what they want. So yeah, that is the X Pro 2020. Not a lot new, but 10th gen Intel, we like. Emerald green finish, we really, really, really like. Stay tuned to the channel. We've got a few more videos on the new Huawei and Honor launches coming today, and we'll be talking about them all in fast charge this Thursday. So check it out, like and subscribe, and jump in the comments to let me know if you would buy a green laptop.